who it is. This is a brotherhood. And if we stand strong together, we can't be denied. If one of us goes down, we have another, and another, and another that's ready to fight. So let's hit this field and bang them, bang them, bang them. Somebody, light me up.
Welcome to the Empire. It's the Eskimo Empire podcast. Welcome to the Turf District for the Eskimo Empire podcast. We're a proud member of the Alberta Podcast Network, powered by ATB, and of course we are also a part of the Canadian Football Podcast Network. I am your host, Andrew, and like I said, welcome back to the Turf District. We have a very exciting show this evening. We're excited to have you all along with us. Of course, joining me from their own virtual homes, one, of course, is our good friend, superfan Mike. There it is. I love
there it is.
I like that you gave the pause first to make sure that it was you had the proper effect. That was
you got to give them, a little bit of suspense first.
That's I like that. You build the suspense, ready to go. Excellent. And of course, who is also here with us tonight is the one and only Commissioner Kayla. How are you?
Well, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. This is a different view for you. We're seeing right out the fancy the window and the whole thing. It's lovely.
The bandwidth was kind of sketchy for the last couple episodes, so I thought I'd switch it up and come where the connection's actually legit.
Oh, you were getting closer to the router. Good for you.
I am. Yes.
Wow. There's some other horrible comment in there that I'm just going to leave alone. But Mike, I'm sure you knew what I was going to say.
I admit nothing.
Of course. Yes. Okay. Now we have a very special guest tonight.
Yes.
Been with the Eskimos for 3 years, played with us for the last 2, just recently retired, but definitely one of our favorite nicknames of all time. It is the one and only Milk Truck Mark Mackey. How you doing, man?
Good. Glad to be on. Longtime fan. I was wondering if I'd ever make the cut, but all it took was retiring, eh? That was it.
All it takes.
Wait. Yeah. Well, I mean, it was really just a matter of not of us not wanting. It was just a matter of, we had to make sure we got all the proper permissions, and now this works out perfect.
You're sure you're not just bored? You're sure the quarantine news a little slow, no training camp?
Yeah. I knew you were going to give us a run for our money because you're a smart dude. I knew that was going to happen, but more importantly,
for a living. What do you mean? Not too smart.
Yeah, I got very smart. How are things going on out there in the midst of all the pandemic and things?
Pretty good. I mean, it's obviously for me, the last couple of weeks have just been crazy. So I think for me right now, I'm just kind of digesting the whole getting into school, retiring. Everything kind of happened so quickly that it's just kind of been mellowing out here. It's been really nice that, parks and the golf courses have kind of started to open up. So for me, I've just been kind of big time relax mode. I'm at my parents' house right now, so we've managed to keep the peace. My older sister's home too, so everybody's kind of working remotely right now, and we've been pretty good. It's been nice. It almost feels like I'm back in high school right now. It's kind of been a throwback that way, but it's been good to be back home, and it's obviously different with everything closed, but just trying to adapt, trying to stay busy, and then just kind of digesting this whole big life change that kind of happened for me the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, no kidding. Life change for sure. So so you're going from what you should be in the midst of training camp right now to now going, all right, I got to prepare for taking some major tests and going into med school. Massive differences. Has this been something kind of in the works for you for a while?
For sure. I think in university I was taking kinesiology, and the big dream was to one day get into medical school. And I didn't even know if I was going to play university football, in the sense that I didn't know if I was going to make the team when I first kind of walked onto the scene.
Wow.
So that for me was kind of, the CFL became something that was a goal of mine kind of later on in university, when I realized, okay, I'm keeping up with some of the guys that have just made it. Maybe I could make the jump too. So I've kind of been working towards both goals for a while, and what I've been saying is I think working towards both of them have kind of built one on the other. I don't think it's been working towards one or the other. I think having the experience of being out in Edmonton, playing in the CFL. When I got to the interview process this offseason, it just made kind of talking about characteristics and skills that I've learned so much easier. So it's been kind of a dual goal kind of thing, but it's been in the work for a while, and I wasn't sure if I was going to get into school, this year or next year or whenever I was going to get in. So very blessed to have gotten in this year, and that was kind of, the decision was a little bit made for me at that point. So it's off to school I go. But yeah, it's going to be quite the change.
To say the least.
No kidding.
Bravo, though.
Yeah. What do you see as the
No,
biggest?
I haven't been in a real classroom in about 3 years right now. So I'm not worried, but at the same time, we might need to pick up a book or something.
So, absolutely. So, what do you see is going to be the biggest challenge going from football back into med school?
Oh, I mean, I need an outlet, I think, from, being out there every day with the guys running around. If you're angry, having a bad day, why don't I just run into this guy full speed? So,
That'll happen in university.
I don't think you can necessarily do that.
You'll want to.
Maybe I could find it. I don't know. But so yeah, I think for me, just kind of finding that outlet and just finding the time. Like I've loved being able to just fully immerse myself into football these last couple of years. So I think going back into school, and it's going to be a crazy busy schedule. So kind of finding the time to kind of, stay active, find an outlet. That's kind of, I think, what I'm not nervous about, but what I think I'm going to have to really work on and figure out. But I'm sure it will work out.
Oh, for sure.
My buddy is in kickboxing, and his wife always, he'll say something, and then she says, "Oh, we can't trust you. You pay people to beat you up." So obviously that might be an outlet for you. Try and find some place to pay somebody.
I think I'm done getting hit.
Okay.
I think I'm done getting hit.
Oh, you just want to be the hammer all the time. I get it. Okay.
Right.
All right.
Golf is great. Golf has been great. Golf ball can't hit you back.
That's fair. Well, I don't. You haven't golfed with me. Yeah. Exactly.
If I'm near a tree, actually, I take that back.
Yes, that's true. On the same token, Joe was actually asking, being that you got accepted to med school, does that make you the smartest person in the locker room? And if not, who is?
No, you know what? Book smart, maybe. I mean, there's some pretty smart guys. Football wise, not a chance. I think the quarterback room, you should be, if you want any football knowledge, you sit with, Trevor and some of the guys for a little bit, and you're like, I'm way out of my league right now. Like, they're not even just football, like the game, but I'm talking like the history of football, everything. They're dropping stats that you've never even heard of. They would play quarterback trivia on the bus. They'd all kind of get together, Danny, Trev, and they would just be like going back and forth. I'd listen into it because no one else was allowed. It was just the quarterback. I listened into it. I'm like, I'm 0 for 100 right now. And then, I mean, street smarts, you've got Whitey, you've got Kinger. Those guys are super smart. And I mean, some of the other guys, everybody has their own little thing. Book smart, maybe. I don't know. But overall smarts, I don't think so.
Well, you're a humble guy. I knew that you were going to say no, but, you got to be pretty smart to get where you're going. So
yeah.
Yeah.
I hope. I mean, mostly hard work though. So you can be, not the smartest person in the world, but if you work hard enough, it'll work out too.
That's awesome. Also, next time we have a quarterback on, I know what challenge we're going to do, Superfan, because that'll be interesting to see how you do with that. You'll be excited.
I'm telling you, they are on a different level. I haven't seen the mic challenges yet, but they are going to be a tough, stiff competition.
Nice.
Awesome.
That's a good bribe to get Trevor on, though. Who can flex higher or more, Mike or Trevor?
Yeah.
Well, you know,
The history flex.
history flex.
I mean, Danny might have even been better too. So I don't know. That's a question for the quarterback room. But their quizzes were on another planet.
Nice. All right, Kayla, did you want the next one there?
Oh, yep. Sorry.
That's all right.
As always.
That's okay.
So you joined the team in 2018. What was your first exposure to pro ball like?
It was fast. It was, I mean, I remember just getting there and being excited, and I was, gassed up. I had done really well at kind of the Canadian, the national combine. You go against guys who've been in Canadian university, and you're like, yeah, I'm ready for this. And you've seen some of your teammates who are, playing, and you're like, well, I did well against him in practice a couple times. Like, this will be fine. I remember my first, couple of snaps that they finally gave me out there. I just remember being like, I'm not even out of my stance. And some 6'8" monster has just moved about 10 yards in the other direction. I remember being like, how on earth do you even play this right now? It was just fast. So I remember Mondo gave me all the tips. Mondo gave me all the nice little secrets, like, Mark, this motion means it's about to be snapped. This word, it's about to be snapped. And if you don't know that, you're in the dust. So I just remember it was really fast, and it was a ton of fun. I mean, my earliest memories were just kind of the entire time being like, I've seen you on TSN, like I watched you growing up. You know what I mean? So I think it was just constantly like pinch, 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 pinch. So ton of fun for me, and just kind of being around Commonwealth Stadium. That's another memory I had, just like the first time I actually got out to Commonwealth, because the TV angles don't do it any justice. You kind of go like, what, this kind of like, what's going, you see the color scheme, you're like, okay, what's going on here? But then you actually get there and you're like, this is massive. This is a massive stadium, and getting to see all the facilities, meeting the people in there. So a little bit of everything, but it was pretty overwhelming to go from kind of, dreaming about the CFL to actually kind of like being in there. I still kind of look back at it and go, I can't believe, that this all kind of worked out the way it did.
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. So now, you were talking about going up against guys. Was there a guy that you really liked going up against?
Yeah.
Guy that I really liked going up against, Jacob Ruby. I'm gonna throw him under the bus. You can tag him. I liked going up against him because, I mean, I hated when I lost, but I knew he really, because the first time we went up against each other, we're both from London, but we didn't really know each other that well. The first time we went up against each other was in the Las Vegas mini camp. And I beat him pretty clean that first time. I felt him leaning. He'll tell you he was trying out a new technique. Don't listen to him. He's a liar. And I just remembered I just chirped. I don't even remember what I said, but got right into his head. So I think we probably had 4 or 5 training camp fights in our 3 years together. We work out together. We run a football camp together. So we're fine off the field. But going up against Ruby was a ton of fun for me. I'm gonna miss that. I think he was probably the most fun, just because I knew I was in his head. I knew if I beat him, he was going to really take it personally.
That is
maniacal.
That is outstanding. And probably part of the question that I was just going to ask you was, what do you think you're going to miss most about football?
Oh, there's so many little things. I think the biggest thing for me is just kind of being in that environment and being around the guys. I mean, that's the most fun for me. I mean, you can have a brutal practice, but then, Mondo or Mike will make a joke and you're on, you're crying on the outside, but internally you get that little laughter, and then even just, going on road trips together with everybody, just all the inside jokes. I don't know. Have you guys ever talked to D-Max before? He might be the funniest person I've met in my entire life. So, I mean, that D-line room, just walking in every day, like it didn't matter if you were having a good day, a bad day. You're like, I'm about to be laughing for the next, hour and a half. So, I mean, I'm definitely going to miss, I'm sure I'll make, different kind of connections throughout medical school, but I think for football, it's really special, kind of the connection you get to make, because, what you're doing is so unique, and there's so much adversity together that your bonds are just so tight. Like, it doesn't matter who you are or where you come from. It's crazy how, close we all were. So I think I'm going to miss that by far the most. And then definitely my outlet piece, running in. There's no legal way to run 40 yards into somebody and just shut your eyes and see what happens. So maybe golf, some intramurals, maybe. We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, there's some cop watching on the corner, and he just throws a flag. It's like that's it. Yep, sorry, you can't do that in
No,
real life. Yep,
I
sorry.
don't think it's 15 yards though. I think it's a little.
Well, there's a 15. It's just not yards. Yeah, it's not. You don't really want any of that. That's very true. All right, I'm gonna come back with some more questions for you in just a second. Before we get to our depth chart, I just wanted to very quickly. Oh my goodness, I need to fix this here on the fly tech work. There we go. I wanted to do kind of a special quick hoard and tell because one of our listeners is actually a writer, and he sent me some books, and so I wanted to give a little plug out to Chad.
Oh, Chad Gansky.
Yeah, because he sent me his two books, and I've started Idyllic Avenue, and it's this one. Sorry, I'm looking in my reflex. But yeah, I started this one, and man, oh man, like he's got some cool ideas. So I just thought it was pretty cool that a guy that listens to the show, and I said, hey, I threw some things at him, and he said, yeah, you're like a winner of this contest he had, and so he sent me the book. So I wanted to give him a little plug and say to get those because it's kind of a neat idea, and they're all part of the Empire. So that was kind of cool.
And he's got a short story on Amazon too. You can pick up.
Oh yeah, really? I didn't even know that. Okay,
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, Superfan, are you ready to go to our depth chart?
The final round, absolutely.
Oh, the final round, yes. And
load it up.
I gotta say, the first couple of selections for me weren't so bad, but picking that third one was painful. Yep. Oh my goodness, I had a hard time with it.
I was shocked who you didn't pick. I'm just saying.
You know what? I couldn't. I just because there some of those. I mean, I really wanted to give James all the love in the world, but I knew I'd be the only
love, Mr.
one.
Franklin.
I'd be the only one.
Yeah, it's true.
And so I thought, well, we're trying to do this on the up and up, so I did it the right way. But anyway,
nice.
All right.
All right. Let's take a look here. So the first up we've got, of course, this is our depth chart before today. You can see it's pretty full at this point. Next up, you can see what we are picking is the quarterback position. So this is the final spot on our depth chart. This is the all-time Eskimos depth chart as selected by the fans who came in and voted. So let's see what we got. So Let's go next. First on the list is...
Oh, you don't say.
Mr. Warren Moon.
That's weird.
So not much of a surprise there. Warren had a massive 98% of the people voting for him as one of the top 3 quarterbacks in Eskimos history. I mean, there's not much more you can say about Warren. He is the only person as a player to be in both the Canadian and American Football Halls of Fame. It came here in 1978 after being a Rose Bowl champion, won 5 consecutive Grey Cups.
So he was okay.
Set a whole bunch of records. Yeah, in his 6th year, was named MOP, went to the States, had a massive career there, and, you kind of knew he was going to be on this list.
Yeah, well, would make sense, yes.
Yeah, speaking of people you probably knew, next up.
Hi, I know that guy.
Mr. Ricky Ray. So, again, Ricky had almost as much votes as well. He was over 86% of people voted for him. Ricky came to the team in 2002 as the 4th-string quarterback going into camp.
Wow.
By week 4, he was the starter. Came back, almost won his first game as he replaced Moss in the as an acute of an injury against Saskatchewan. Next game, he played against BC, and in his first start, he was going up against Damon Allen, who had hundreds of starts under his belt.
Wow! And
just an absolutely killer career. Of course, took us to the Grey Cup in 2002, won it in 2003. Came back after a year with the New York Jets in 2005 and won the Grey Cup then and was named MOP. So just an absolutely outstanding career. Played here until 2011 and obviously has a lot of love.
Yeah, absolutely. And as it turns out, in our Cold Snap League, these 2 particular quarterbacks will be going head-to-head in but 2 weeks' time.
Oh, that's true. We'll talk about that in a bit.
We will, yeah.
All right. Next and the last one on our list.
Not surprising.
This one, Mike Riley, won by one vote.
Whoa! That's close.
One vote
Holy-
over the second or with the fourth place
Was the fourth
quarterback.
Was the fourth
So
one
Yeah.
Damon?
no, sir.
Really? Who was the fourth one?
Yeah. We'll talk about it in the pod.
Okay. All right. Oh, nice teaser.
So
Well
again,
done.
there it is. So, of course, Mike Riley joined the team. He came to us in 2013 after being the backup to Travis Lulay in BC. Didn't have the greatest year in 2013, went 4-14. Just improved dramatically in 2014, won the Grey Cup in 2015, was named the most outstanding player after that. Again, what more can you say about him? Mark, you would have gone up against him again in practice. How's that been like?
I got a funny Mike Riley story.
Tell us.
I only had one interact because it was only my first year. I was only there for one training camp, right? So the only interaction I had with Mike was I was in the training room, and I had no idea how anything worked. So they've got these like jars of kind of like this jelly type stuff. It has a name. I don't remember it. But I mean, it's basically hot bomb. Okay. Like you put it on, you're on fire. So you're supposed to use like a wooden, like little kind of spoon to scoop it up and then put it on yourself with gloves so you don't touch it. But I didn't realize that. I was just like, oh, like this, I'm just gonna dig it up with my fingers. So I dig it up with my fingers. I don't even remember where I rub it in, and like. I think Mike was sitting on the table. I think he was the only person to realize this rookie just walked in and put his hands right into the hot bomb. So the only thing Mike Riley said to me, the only thing he said was, "Don't touch me." Don't touch me. So whenever anybody asks, they're like, "Did you talk to Mike out there?" When I got sent back, I was like, "Yeah, he said not to touch him." That's it.
That's good advice for any rookie.
To be fair, he probably has to say that to a lot of people. I mean,
that's true.
Yeah,
yeah. And that's just on this podcast.
It didn't work last year, though.
No, sir.
In Edmonton, there was a lot of touching.
Yeah,
yes.
A lot of touching. That's what we're gonna call it from now on. Lots of touching.
Yep. All right, let's take a look at the final list. So there are all three quarterbacks: Warren Moon, Ricky Ray, Mike Riley. It's hard to argue with those names.
Oh, absolutely.
Hall of Famer, some future Halls of Famers, just absolutely outstanding.
Yes.
Okay, so let's look at the charts. So we're back to the chart, and we click again and get to
three guys.
Quarterback. So now we have our full chart all put together. Looks pretty impressive there.
That is a hell of a team.
Yeah, I mean, not a lot of surprises on some of these spots, but some of them were quite a few. So, we have some active players on this list. Almondo Sewell, of course, made defensive tackle. What can you say about Mondo?
Oh, but yeah.
He's got to be there.
Yeah.
You can say that. He's got to be on any list.
Exactly.
Yep.
Okay, so let's go on next. We got thanks again to everyone who voted in these 9 rounds, helping us put together this all-time depth chart of the top Edmonton Eskimos in history. Next week or next episode, we will be doing the prize draw.
Nice.
So let's go down some of the list there. Just a few things in there. We've got a $25 gift card to the Esk store.
Yay! Now that
We'll
the
be
online
coming
store
there.
is open. Yeah.
Exactly. We'll be having a copy of the Decade of Excellence book,
Excellent.
which came out about the Eskimos in the 1970s and early 80s.
Awesome book.
And lastly, we've got a poster of all of the winners of the fan vote depth chart and more still to come.
Nice.
Yeah, so I think that's great. If you have voted in any of the rounds, it gets you an entry in there. So if you voted in all 9 rounds, you get 9 entries into the draw. So
awesome. Thanks
again, everyone, and looking forward to next week to see who wins.
Oh, yeah. This whole thing, Superfan, right from the get-go. I mean, I can't thank you enough. The amount of work that you put into making this happen, I can't even begin to describe it, but it's been super fun going through all these names and seeing some of these guys. And now I'm thinking we need to tell Joe to make this team for a cold snap game. And could you imagine you could play with man,
that'd be a pretty scary team.
it'd be unreal. Mark's like, what is cold snap? It's basically football Dungeons and Dragons. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Yes, we're all nerds.
Right.
Yeah, and it's wonderful.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm right there with you. I think my buddies we're doing a little virtual Dungeons and Dragons sometime next. We've been planning it for a while now. I'm right there with
Nice. Awesome.
right there with you.
Awesome. Awesome. That's very cool. Well, again, thanks, Mike. It's just yeah, that's really very cool. So,
Can we tell them what's coming up next?
what do you mean?
What we're doing after, since we're going to have more fan input.
Oh, absolutely.
coming
Yes, we
weeks.
are going to have some in the coming weeks. Yes, I am putting together the football movie bracket. And so we have 32 movies in and all about football, and so I will be making up that bracket over the next week or so, and then when we get together for the next show, we will basically put out what the bracket is going to look like, and then we'll start doing some votes through Twitter and Facebook. So
Ooh.
make sure that you get onto those polls, and we will figure out votes, and then we'll figure out what's the best football movie of all time, being that we have a lot of time to watch movies right now.
Sadly true.
Yes.
I think it's going to be Gus, the goal kicking mule.
I think so too. I mean, if it doesn't,
that was a great movie.
that's the round one upset right there. I don't know.
Yeah.
Was there a football Air Bud one? Because that's
There's gotta be.
the whole way.
Yeah.
that gets the milk truck vote all the way through. The Air Bud football.
That's it. That's got my vote the whole way.
I'll mark that down. Good to go.
Perfect.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, we had a couple other Empire questions for you here, Milk Truck, before we sign off on the YouTube live part. First question was to get into medical school, do you have to know how to count to 3, and if so, who taught you? I think you know who asked that question.
Who did it? Before I answer, who did it?
That would be Coach Gas.
Oh, Coach Gas. Coach Gas gives me a hard time because he's been playing chess, and so he's got this chess.com account. And I walked in pretty confident. I was like, I know how to move all the pieces around, and he crushed me. So that's.
I laughed because he sent me.
Yes, you do have to know how to count to 3.
Yes.
You do.
Good.
You do. The toughest. There's not too much math actually. Like I'm not much of a math guy, but the MCAT you do have to do all your calculations without a calculator. So Gas. I might not be able to beat you in chess, but I can ask someone.
Yeah, at first, the first message he sent me was, ask him if he can count to 3. Don't worry, he'll get it. I'm like, what? And I'm just laughing to myself. I'm like, okay.
So the inside joke of that one is on the punt team, I simply had one job. I can't give away too much of our secret formation, but I had 3 at all times. So you can imagine Gas was just like, how do I teach this guy what number 3? Because sometimes in practice, number 3 would just be right in the backfield hanging out with Hugh. And I just remember Gas would just be like, Mackie, like, what is wrong with you? Counting 3 can be hard under pressure, I'll tell you that much.
That's outstanding. Oh, well, yeah, like I said, it made my day when he sent me that question. I'm like, this is going to be an interesting reaction when I ask him that question. Yeah.
I wasn't ready for that one. That one wasn't prepared for.
All right, well, this one's a little bit easier, but... You've obviously been a football fan for a while, a CFL fan, I would assume. But if you had to pick the CFL Encore on TSN for 1 week, what 2 games would you be picking to rewatch?
Oh, man. The first one I would want to watch, because I didn't really get to watch it, was when we beat Montreal in the playoffs.
Nice.
Because I remember being on the side of the field being like, okay, how many passes has he completed? And then, like, you're not really watching the offense when you're doing specials and, like, defense, because they're in there. It's a whole different world. Like, they might as well be a different team. Like, that's the amount of, overlap you have. But I remember at one point, it was like the second quarter, guys started talking on the sideline being like, I don't think he's missed. And I don't know what was the stat line of that game, because Trevor was slinging the rock. I would love to just sit down and watch the whole game again, because that was just, even to be on the sidelines for that one, that would be fun to watch. And then selfishly for me, I think when Edmonton traveled to play the Argonauts in 2018 in
Nice.
Toronto,
All right.
for very, very selfish reasons. I would only watch a play that happened at the end of the third quarter. I'm not going to be specific what happened in the play, but
I think you should be
that,
specific. I was going to ask you what was your favorite play in the time you were with us.
oh man, the sack. Come
Yeah, the
on.
big
Come on.
sack. It was
The
awesome.
big sack. Yeah. So I got called up that week and I didn't even know I was playing. I just remember they were like, "Yeah, Kweku's not going to be making the trip, so you're playing." And I was just like, I've been sitting at home for 3 weeks. Okay, cool. Let's do it." And then, BMO at the time was basically empty, but I mean, every person who had anything to do with me was in the couple rows behind our bench. So I had a nice little fan section. I was only on the field for like 5 or 6 plays, but to get out there, get a sack, that was pandemonium. That was so much fun.
Excellent
That's
picks.
awesome.
Superfan, correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't Trevor one off of the record for completions in a
He
row?
was.
Yeah. It was
Yeah.
21 or something.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Moss had the record of 22 and he was beaten.
Oh, right. Yeah, we won't get into that.
Right.
Yeah.
No.
Okay. So he was right there. Yeah. So excellent pick.
He was.
Excellent pick.
Thank you.
All right. Well, Milk Truck, thanks for joining us for the YouTube Live. We're going to get into a little more depth on the podcast for this week in just a second. But thanks for joining us for this and sharing some laughs and some of your stories. We really appreciate it. And if people want to kind of follow you on social and kind of see how you're doing and catch up with you for med school, what's the best place to follow you at?
For sure. So it's Mackie_91 on Instagram, and that's kind of all my social media is on there. So give me a follow, give me a shout out. I love interacting with people, so follow me there.
Awesome. All right, and of course, Superfan Commissioner Kayla, glad that you were here for this, and we will talk to you guys more on the actual pod as well.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Lovely. All right, and thank you to all of you for joining us. We really appreciate you tuning in to share some laughs with us. And, of course, our pod will be out tomorrow with lots more stories from Milk Truck. And, of course, we'll go into a little bit more in the Esk's history for that particular depth chart as we wrap up all of the depth charts. And we'll talk a little news, of course, with Randy's virtual town hall and things like that. So we'll catch all of those into the podcast this week. You can find it wherever you find podcasts, of course, but you can join into all of our groups or the group that we're part of in the Alberta Podcast Network, and you can find all the shows there at albertapodcastnetwork.com. And then, of course, our site is eskempire.ca, so you can check us out there as well. So thank you again for tuning in. We look forward to talking with you this week, and of course, shoot back some questions to us as you can. Remember, you cannot catch footballs with your face, and we will absolutely talk to you next week.
I saw Mike smile and I'm like, what did I do?